Detailed case summary. Terry v. Ohio is a landmark decision by the United States Supreme Court which upheld the constitutionality of the stop-and-frisk procedures conducted by police officers. The court ruled that an officer's brief detention and pat-down search of a suspect based on reasonable suspicion rather than probable cause does not violate the Fourth Amendment's prohibition against unreasonable searches and seizures. Background facts. Claimant, petitioner, John W. Terry, defendant, respondent. State of Ohio. Facts of the case. Incident: on October 31, 1963, Cleveland Police Detective Martin McFadden observed John W. Terry and two other men acting suspiciously near a storefront. The men repeatedly walked up and down the street, pausing to stare into a store window and then confer with each other. Believing that the men were planning a robbery, McFadden approached them. Stop and frisk. Detective McFadden identified himself as a police officer and asked for their names. When the men mumbled responses, McFadden conducted a quick pat-down of their outer clothing. He discovered two concealed weapons on Terry and another man, Richard Chilton. Both men were arrested for carrying concealed weapons. Trial. Terry's defense filed a motion to suppress the evidence of the guns, arguing that the search was conducted without probable cause and thus violated the Fourth Amendment. The motion was denied and Terry was convicted. Arguments in the court case. Terry's argument: Fourth Amendment violation. Terry's defense argued that the search was unreasonable because it was conducted without probable cause. They contended that Detective McFadden's actions violated Terry's Fourth Amendment rights. State's argument: reasonable suspicion. The state of Ohio argued that Detective McFadden acted on reasonable suspicion, which is a lower standard than probable cause. They maintained that the search was justified for officer safety and the prevention of crime. Final outcome and legal justification. Outcome. Ruling. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the state of Ohio in an 8-1 decision, holding that the search and seizure conducted by Detective McFadden were reasonable under the Fourth Amendment. Reasonable suspicion. The court established the standard of reasonable suspicion for stop-and-frisk procedures, recognizing the need for police officers to ensure their safety and prevent crime based on specific and articulable facts. Legal justification. Fourth Amendment interpretation. The court balanced the need for law enforcement to investigate suspicious behavior and ensure officer safety against the individual's right to privacy. They determined that the stop-and-frisk was a reasonable search under the Fourth Amendment given the circumstances. Officer safety. The court emphasized that the primary goal of a pat-down search is to protect officers by allowing them to search for weapons. The court noted that an officer's decision to stop and frisk must be based on reasonable suspicion derived from the officer's experience and observation of specific behaviors. Reasonable suspicion standard. The decision introduced the reasonable suspicion standard, which requires less certainty than probable cause, but must be based on specific and articulable facts, not just a hunch. Key concept implications. Stop and frisk. The ruling provided law enforcement with the authority to conduct brief stops and frisks based on reasonable suspicion, significantly impacting police procedures and practices across the United States. Balance of rights and safety. The case established a precedent for balancing individual rights against the needs of law enforcement to protect themselves and the public. Key lessons. Reasonable suspicion standard. Candidates should understand the significance of the reasonable suspicion standard in Fourth Amendment jurisprudence and how it differs from probable cause. Officer safety considerations. The case highlights the importance the court places on officer safety when assessing the reasonableness of searches and seizures. Judicial Balancing Act. Terry v. Ohio demonstrates how the court balances individual rights against the practical needs of law enforcement, shaping the legal landscape of search and seizure.